They said it was just a shortcut. A little road through open pasture. No big deal. They didn't ask. They didn't warn. They tore down my fence, drove their SUVs across my grazing land, and called it progress. But what they didn't know was that bulls remember. And when the HOA president led her board onto my private ranch, against the law, against court orders, she thought she was building a brighter future. Instead, she woke something ancient. 2,000 pounds of muscle, a bloodline older than her neighborhood covenants, and a fence line that wasn't just barbed wire, it was legacy. She thought I was the problem. But it was never me. It was the land. And the moment she crossed it, there was no going back. This isn't just another HOA story. It's justice on four hooves. My name is Jack Harlan. I'm a retired Army logistics officer who traded desert sand for rich Texas pasture grass, raising cattle on the same 40 acres my grandfather fenced with his own hands back in 1954. This land has carried 3 generations of Harlans through hard times and good ones. It fed us, taught us, and gave my 2 boys, Cody and Travis, the kind of upbringing that builds character and quiet pride. We run purebred Chevrolet bulls here, massive white beasts, each one a ton of muscle and raw power. To folks who know them, they're gentle giants, calm enough to take a scratch behind the ear. But they're still bulls, territorial, proud, protective of their herd and their ground. Step into their pasture uninvited, and you're not just trespassing on property. You're challenging something primal. That's why the fences matter more than almost anything else on this ranch. Every strand of barbed wire, every cedar post driven deep into the red clay, carries a story. We check them monthly, fix them the same week a storm bends a staple. Those boundaries aren't just wood and steel. They're a promise between man and land. Respect my space, and I'll respect the wild in yours. Our house sits at the base of a low ridge, looking south across the main pasture toward the newer subdivision that crept in over the last decade, Willow Creek Estates. Where once there were rolling hayfields and live oaks, now stand rows of craftsman-style homes with vinyl siding the color of beach sand, a man-made lake ringed by imported palms, and a clubhouse painted in soft pastels that always looks freshly pressure-washed. Matching black mailboxes, identical landscaping packages, and of course, an HOA that believes its rules extend to the horizon. I never paid them much mind. Our deed predates their development by nearly 70 years. Legally, we're separate worlds, divided by a 4-strand barbed wire fence and a shared dirt road that ends at my gate. But last spring, a white luxury SUV started showing up along that fence line with unsettling regularity. The driver, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on perfectly highlighted hair, would slow to a crawl, peer over the wire, and jot notes like she was planning a shopping center. The first time she waved, I lifted a hand from the tractor seat. The second time, she leaned out and called brightly, "Mr. Harlan, have you ever considered collaborative use of underutilized green space?" I killed the engine and walked over, boots crunching gravel. "Ma'am, that's not green space. That's where my bulls eat, sleep, breed, and settle their differences. It's very much utilized." She laughed, a light, tinkling sound that suggested I'd made a joke. I hadn't. Her name was Linda Whitaker, newly elected president of the Willow Creek Estates HOA. She had big ideas. And those ideas involved a community connector road, linking the back cul-de-sac of her subdivision to Ridgeview Drive on the far side of my property. A shortcut, she called it. Efficient. Modern. Good for property values all around. The most direct route cut straight through the heart of my southeast pasture. I listened the first time she explained it, standing there in pressed khakis and wedge heels sinking into the shoulder. I nodded while she talked traffic flow, emergency access, rising real estate trends. Then I told her plainly, no road would cross my land without a signed easement, fair compensation, and my enthusiastic consent, none of which were on offer. She smiled the way people do when they think disagreement is temporary. "We'll circle back," she said, sliding her sunglasses down. "I'm sure we can find a neighborly solution." That was the beginning. Not long after, Cody showed me a screenshot from the HOA's private Facebook group, a meeting agenda titled Vehicular Access Improvement Initiative, with bullet points about connective infrastructure and potential shared easements. Travis found the first orange survey flags a week later, bright plastic ribbons fluttering along a line marching boldly across my grass. I stood there in the evening light, one boot on either side of a cedar post older than most houses behind me, and felt something tighten in my chest. Those flags weren't from the county. They weren't from any utility. They were from people who believed wanting something badly enough made it theirs. I pulled every flag that night and stacked them on the clubhouse porch with a note in black marker. Private property. No trespassing. I thought that might end it. But Linda Whitaker wasn't the kind to accept no as final. She saw it as the opening bid in a negotiation she intended to win. The quiet didn't last. 2 days later, pink flags replaced the orange ones, straighter, more official looking. And parked beyond my locked gate sat Linda's white SUV, engine idling, hazard lights blinking. She stepped out as I approached, vest over her blouse, clipboard hugged like armor. "Morning, Jack. Just verifying the revised alignment with township data. You're marking my land again. There's ongoing discussion about unincorporated parcels," she said smoothly. "We're preparing options." "There is no discussion. This is Harlan land. Always has been." She offered that patient smile. "You'll receive formal notice of cooperative planning soon. Our goal is inclusion, not confrontation." My dog Rusty growled low from the porch. I unlatched the gate, stepped through, closed and locked it between us. For the first time, her smile slipped. She glanced toward the pasture where my lead bull, Thunder, had lifted his massive head, watching with dark eyes. "I'd hoped we could handle this amicably," she said. "We still can," I replied. "All you have to do is respect the boundary that's been here since before your neighborhood existed." She climbed back in without another word. The SUV backed away, kicking dust. That night, I pulled the flags again. This time, I drove them to the clubhouse and left them in a neat pyramid on the welcome mat, topped with a single sheet, "Final warning." But messages like fences only work when both sides honor them. And Linda Whitaker had never been much for agreement. The real trouble started 2 mornings later. Travis called from the barn, voice low. "Dad, they're back. And they've got machines." I made the drive fast, dust hanging like a warning. There they were, a yellow skid steer, a flatbed with rebar and concrete forms, 2 men in safety vests already at work. One cut the bottom strand of barbed wire with bolt cutters. The other held a post hole digger. Travis stood in front of them, phone recording. Rusty barked nonstop. The herd clustered at the far end, heads up, unsettled. I stepped out and walked straight toward them. "Turn those machines off. Now." The man with the cutters froze. His partner raised hands. "Easy, mister. We were told this was cleared and permitted." HOA said the landowner agreed to a shared easement. Agreed. My voice stayed low. I'm the landowner. I never agreed to anything. Before they could answer, Linda's SUV rolled up. She stepped out in a crisp blazer, heels sinking, smile already forming. "Jack, perfect timing. Just a little mix-up with the schedule. You're cutting my fence. Bringing heavy equipment onto my land without permission. That's not a mix-up. That's trespassing." She waved a hand. "We filed a zoning variance. The county's long-range plan encourages shared infrastructure. Your alignment ends at my property line," I said. "Unless you have a signed easement with my name on it, you're breaking the law." Behind her, Thunder let out a deep bellow that rolled like thunder. 2 more bulls, Ranger and Blaze, moved up beside him, shoulders swaying, tails flicking. Linda glanced back, smile faltering. "Gentlemen, let's wrap up for today. We'll reschedule." They packed up fast. Linda lingered. "This isn't over, Jack. We'll find a legal path." "Then find it somewhere else," I said. "Because you're not finding it here." That night, we worked until stars came out. Cody and Travis helped weld extra panels, run new tension wire, brace posts. The bulls watched from a distance, dark shapes against moonlit grass. We finished near midnight. The repair wasn't pretty, but it was solid. I stood on the ridge, looking at the patchwork and the quiet subdivision lights. The air smelled of fresh wire and welding smoke, but beneath it was something older, the scent of earth never paved. I thought about my grandfather driving those first posts with nothing but a promise this land would stay free. I thought about my boys growing up knowing the difference between a fence and a wall, between ownership and entitlement. And I knew Linda Whitaker wasn't done. She'd been given a setback, not a surrender. The next morning, I reinforced the gate with heavy chain and padlock. Added red signs every 20 feet, private property. No trespassing. Violators prosecuted. Then I walked the perimeter, Rusty at my heels, speaking quietly to the bulls. Stay sharp, boys. They're not done yet. Thunder answered with a low huff, as if he already knew. The dawn broke heavy and humid. Cody called. Dad, get down here quick. They're not surveying. They're digging. I ran to the truck. By the time we crested the ridge, diesel engines growled like an insult. A full-sized bulldozer sat in the middle of my grass, carving a shallow trench across the slope where the bulls rested. Behind it, a track loader idled. Surveyors stretched tape. And there, on the edge like a project manager at a groundbreaking, stood Linda Whitaker, red blazer vivid, latte in hand. I slammed the door and strode forward. Shut it down. All of it. Now. The operator killed the engine. Silence rushed in. Linda marched over. Jack, this is getting dramatic. We're initiating preliminary grading under a development variance. Retroactive permits are common. Retroactive. I stepped closer. You tore out 30 feet of fence yesterday. No easement, no permit, no permission. This is felony trespass. She laughed incredulously. It's a strip of grass. Your bulls will barely notice. Thunder bellowed from the ridge, deep and resonant. Ranger and Blaze flanked him, ears pinned. Linda's gaze flicked toward them. Unease tightened her face. I turned to the crew. Pack up and leave. Tell whoever signed your work order that insurance adjusters are going to have a busy week. They retreated fast, leaving a raw scar of red clay and tangled wire. Linda lingered. You're standing in the way of progress, Jack. Progress doesn't bulldoze a man's livelihood without asking. She turned and walked away. The door slammed hard. We spent the day repairing, dragging panels, welding braces. The bulls stayed on the ridge, watching with patient eyes. By dusk, the breach was contained. But the pasture carried wounds. The air smelled of diesel and torn earth. That night, I sat on the porch long after the boys went in. Rusty rested his head on my knee. The subdivision lights twinkled like a distant city, forgetting it bordered open land. I considered calling the sheriff right then. But something held me back. Old military habit of gathering intel first. It felt like a mistake. Because the next morning, our temporary barricade lay scattered. Panels twisted. Wire snapped. Hay bales knocked flat. Hoof prints circled the gap. Deep, deliberate. Thunder's prints overlapped Rangers and Blazes. They hadn't wandered far. They stood together on the ridge, heads high, waiting. Cattle don't charge without reason. But they'd tested the weakness we'd left and found it wanting. Rusty barked sharp. Dust rose along the track. 4 HOA vehicles turned off the pavement and drove straight into the pasture through the gap. They bounced like sightseers. One had a sign, future site of community connector. Leading the convoy was Linda's SUV. She stood outside, phone high, filming, gesturing grandly. They weren't trespassing. They were celebrating. I radioed the boys. South breach. Now. I floored it down the slope, horn blaring. Too late. Thunder moved first. He came over the ridge like a white avalanche, gathering speed. Ranger flanked west. Blaze shot ahead, cutting retreat. The nearest sedan tried to reverse, too slow. Thunder hit broadside. Impact like a shotgun in a tin shed. Door crumpled. Glass exploded. Linda screamed, "Hi, Raw!" She bolted for her SUV, but Blaze blocked the path, snorting across the hood. I braked hard, leapt out, ran toward the bulls. Thunder, easy boy. Stand. He paused, chest heaving. I stepped between him and the next vehicle, arms wide. Back away. Slowly. Cody and Travis roared up in the side-by-side, grain bucket rattling. Travis shook it, the familiar sound that always brought them running. Cody held the sorting stick high. The bulls hesitated. Ranger lowered his head, hooked the sedan's bumper. Plastic cracked. Fascia tore free. Linda retreated behind her door, phone clutched, shouting, "We're under attack. Send animal control. Send the sheriff." I moved toward Thunder, voice low. "Come on, big man. That's enough. Home." He huffed once, then turned slow and trotted up the slope. The others followed. The convoy fled in reverse, doors open, tires spinning. 2 vehicles lay wrecked. Tire ruts scarred the grass. I stood breathing hard, not from running, but from the weight. The bulls hadn't attacked out of malice. They defended their home. and they'd drawn a line no survey flag could erase. We towed the cars to the fence line, reset panels, ran new wire. The bulls grazed calmly, as if nothing happened. But everything had changed. The aftermath hit like a storm. The HOA Facebook group exploded. Posts screamed, "Farmers' dangerous bulls attack peaceful residents." Linda pinned a post painting herself victim of unprovoked aggression, with photos of her torn sleeve and scraped elbow. Complaints filed. Animal control, code enforcement, demanding quarantine or euthanasia. I gathered evidence. Phone videos, trail cam stills, photos of damage, every warning sent. Then I called an old Army buddy, now with the county, Ray Coleman. He arrived next morning with drone and inspection kit. We documented everything. Overhead shots of trench, ruts, trespass paths. "This is textbook criminal trespass and agricultural interference," Ray said. "Bulls doing bull things on fenced land? That's nature. The danger was the idiots driving into a pasture like it's a theme park." We filed, sheriff's report, complaint to state AG board, original 1954 deed, livestock registration. I emailed the package to the HOA board, notice of legal action pending. Linda replied with cease and desist, accusing me of weaponizing dangerous animals, demanding removal of livestock, threatening countersuit. Ray laughed. "That nuisance clause she cites only applies inside city limits. Your land's rural AG, grandfathered, won't survive a judge." But she played for time, headlines, pressure. I raised stakes, upgraded perimeter, heavier posts, double gates, bigger signs, under active investigation. Trespassers prosecuted. Laminated trail cam photos beneath. Filed injunction with Ray's affidavit, drone footage, deeds. County court granted emergency TRO barring HOA from my property. Violation, contempt, fines, jail. The bulls grazed peacefully again. Thunder's white hide caught last light as he patrolled the boundary. A week later, a black sedan pulled to my gate. Young lawyer, Daniel Brooks. Exploring peaceful resolution. Perhaps limited easement with compensation. "No common ground left," I said. "Tell your clients they've crossed every line worth crossing. I'll see them in court." County escalated. Full land use review. Inspectors documented compaction, damage. Report thick. Category 2 agricultural interference. Linda stayed quiet. Board canceled meetings. Rumor. Lawyer told them stop until investigations closed. But quiet was sharpening knives. A banner appeared across clubhouse fence. Community Connector Preview Day. Food, fun, family tour. Site access via scenic Harlan Lane. My lane. My pasture. Saturday arrived sunny and innocent. Families gathered at clubhouse. Chairs, canopy, cookies, lemonade. Kids with balloons. Linda moved through crowd like politician, microphone in hand. At 5 o'clock, convoy started. For vehicles eased off pavement, down service track. They slowed at partial gap, past red signs and photos. Linda leaned out. Quick loop. Perfect photo op. They nosed through. Thunder lifted head. Ranger's ears flicked. Blaze moved. I stepped forward, arms raised. "Turn around. You're violating a court order." Linda drove deeper, stopped midway, stepped out, live streaming. "Welcome to the future of Willow Creek Estates. This open space will soon connect us all." Blaze crested the rise. White blur, thundering down. Impact catastrophic. Rear door folded. SUV lurched. Glass shattered. Airbags popped. Linda screamed primal. Stumbled back, heel snapping, blazer ripping. Other vehicles panicked. Van clipped sedan. Doors flew open. Parents grabbed kids. I sprinted forward. "Blaze, stand back." Cody and Travis arrived, buckets rattling, sticks high. Ranger and Thunder blocked escape. Calm, immovable. Blaze circled wrecked SUV once, snorted, trotted back satisfied. Linda sat in dirt beside ruined vehicle, clutching bleeding arm, makeup streaked. Sirens rose. Deputy Cole, old fishing buddy, stepped out, shook head. "Jack, she really did this. Cameras got it all." He nodded to Linda as paramedics approached. "Ma'am, you'll need to come with us. And stop talking till you have a lawyer." SUV winched onto flatbed. Others limped out escorted. Banner trampled. News vans arrived by dusk. Headlines wrote themselves. HOA president's SUV destroyed by bull after trespass. Comments. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I walked the pasture with the boys as sun set. Bulls grazed quietly. Cody asked, "Think it's over?" "No," I said. "But next move isn't hers anymore. It's the courts. And the land." Courtroom smelled of old wood and wax. Reporters filled back. HOA board stiff. Linda arrived last. Charcoal suit, cervical collar, sunglasses hiding bruises. Careful walk. This was full civil trial. They sued for SUV damage, medical, emotional distress, intentional endangerment, demanding livestock removal. My attorney, Sarah Klein, moved for dismissal and summary judgment. Evidence rolled. Drone footage of Linda turning off-road, past signs. Her live stream waving convoy forward. Impact. Vet records bulls healthy. Fenced. Timeline warnings. TRO. Judge Harlan, no relation, watch silent. Linda's attorney argued context, aggressive animals. Judge. Counsel, barrier insufficient because your clients destroyed it with bulldozer. Then Ms. Whitaker violated order and drove back. Linda. He knew what those bulls could do. He wanted this. Judge. Did Mr. Harlan invite you? Remove fencing? You understood the order. Yes. Responsibility rests with person ignoring it. Motion granted. Claims dismissed. Judgment for me. Plaintiffs pay damages, costs. Gavel fell sharp. Linda stayed seated as courtroom emptied. Hands trembled. Outside, air clean. Boys waited by truck, rusty shotgun. We drove home windows down, hay scent drifting. New fence glinted. Pasture wide, unbroken. Month passed like exhale. Pasture healed. Rain softened ruts. Grass pushed through scars. Linda resigned HOA presidency, citing health. House sold quick. Moving trucks came one Saturday. She sat passenger in lead truck, never looked toward field. Thunder watched her leave from gate, tail flicking once, then grazed. We didn't press criminal charges. County offered trespass, false reports, contempt. I said let it rest. Justice spoke clear. We celebrated old way. Cookout crisp autumn evening. Table across yard. Cody tended smoker, brisket from this ground. Travis grilled steaks. Neighbors came, old ranch families, few neutral from Willow Creek. One board member brought bourbon, stood by fire. Should have told her no sooner. You're here now, I said. Counts. Boys unrolled bloodline map. Grandfather's sketch, father's notes, mine. Planned spring calving, paddock rotation. Grandfather's words returned. This dirt doesn't belong to us. We belong to it. Leave it better. Make sure nobody forgets whose turn to tend. I'd kept promise. We all had. County closed investigation. Owner in full compliance. No further action. Judge's note framed in barn. You reminded this county law lives in fences, generations, quiet dignity honoring land. These days, I walk perimeter at sunrise, coffee in hand, rusty ahead. Fence straight, strong. Signs faded but standing, protected since 1954. Bulls greet with low huffs, nudges. Thunder's muzzle grayer, eyes wise. He remembers flags, machines, screams, silence after. Land remembers too. Every print, repaired post, blade growing stronger. Pasture stretches beneath big sky. Boys talk expanding herd, new shed West Ridge. They speak like young men knowing ground steady because someone fought to keep it. I stand at gate sometimes, look toward Willow Creek. New houses, new lives. They'll have roads, rules. But boundary no longer tested. Some lines, once defended, stay drawn forever. Wind moves through grass, carrying earth scent and contented rumble of bulls at peace. This is home. Always has been. As long as Harlan's stand at fence, boots planted, hearts rooted, eyes horizon, it always will. What do you think? Was the outcome fair, or did things go too far? In a world full of boundary disputes, overreach, and raw power clashes, whether from HOAs, developers, or anyone else, where do you draw the line between protecting what's yours and the risk of escalation? Have you faced something similar, or seen injustice tip into something more primal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd genuinely like to hear your take, especially on the bigger questions of property rights, entitlement, and when standing your ground becomes necessary. Let's discuss.